I live in Burlington. Let me review for you the facts of Burlington Telecom. I think it will be helpful. The state was very wary of the city setting up a company to compete with Comcast, which is a gorilla. It's a nationwide cable company. So I don't know, our progressive administration decided what they needed to do was take that on and give consumers here a choice. On some level, I suppose that makes sense. The state said, well, we're really concerned with that. What do you know about running a business? Yes, you have Burlington Electric, but that's a distribution monopoly. There's no competition for that. Here you're going to be going up against one of the most competitive companies there is. So we have a very strict Public Service Board charter that you were given, called the Certificate of Public Good. That charter says, we're worried about the taxpayer being on the hook for this adventure. So you can't borrow money from the city general fund unless you can pay it back in 60 days and unless you have cash and accounts receivable to cover that borrowing. That was the charter. Very wary. John Leopold, who was the city administrator, and the mayor just ignored that from day one. It was 3 years after, when people started asking questions about the city's finances, the Burlington Free Press began to ask some questions, that they came clean and confessed they had drained off $17 million of taxpayer money to cover the losses of Burlington Telecom. Yes, they didn't line their Swiss bank account with it, but $17 million in direct violation of the charter. And the initial reaction from Leopold was, yeah, I did it, it was the right thing to do, we'll get a waiver. So what is the Public Service Board, an advisory council? A Better Business Bureau? I don't know. It's a regulatory body. Imagine the following. Green Mountain Power applies for a 10% rate increase. The Public Service Board says, no, we think it should be 2%. Green Mountain Power says, hey, we love your advice, but we're going with 10. Think there'll be no action? Hardly, right? It's a regulatory body. So it may be malfeasance rising to the level of criminal, but it's certainly civil malfeasance. And there should have been an investigation and an action, at least civil action, to appoint a receiver or an overseer. One guy diverted $17 million. And we read right now that Mayor Weinberger is floating a bond. Why is he floating that bond? To cover the $17 million and to spread the pain out over 15 years or 12 years, whatever the bond is, so that we don't have to have a tax increase all in 1 year to cover that. We can get the money now and the pain can be less over 12 years. That's a direct consequence of the violation of that charter. And I'm annoyed with that, and so are the citizens of Burlington, and rightfully so. The fact that both the state's attorney and the attorney general took a pass is incomprehensible to me. And if I'm elected attorney general, I will look into this. If the statute hasn't lapsed, I'm going to reopen this situation. It needs to be investigated. Leopold and Kiss waltzed out of office saying they never did anything wrong, there was nothing wrong with what it would all come right in the end. It's nonsense, complete.